How come everything at the dollar store isn't a dollar anymore? They were items once seen as the symbol of saving money, the last resort for low-income families, a tiny lifeline in the middle of inflation. But now prices are climbing faster than you would ever expect. Some items have nearly doubled in just a few months. What makes it worse is that nobody warns you. Only those quiet little red stickers start showing up on the shelves. With new tariffs, higher shipping costs, supply chains in disarray, and unstable global prices. Even America's cheapest retail chain no longer feels like a safe haven. In this video, we are going to uncover 5 types of food at Dollar Tree that are rising in price at an alarming pace, and why this isn't just about your wallet, but about the deeper fears weighing on working-class Americans. Number 1. Bread and buns. Just this past March, many Dollar Tree locations started raising prices on bread buns and packaged baked goods. From the familiar $1.25, a loaf of sandwich bread now costs $1.50. It doesn't sound like much, but for families living on the edge or retirees surviving on fixed incomes, those extra cents aren't just spare change. They're a warning sign. Picture this: a family of 4 relying on bread for sandwiches every morning or grabbing buns for quick dinners at night. If the bread alone costs a little more each time, how much does that add up to after a week, a month, a year? Dollar Tree used to be the last refuge for people forgotten by the big retailers. Not because they loved bargain shopping, but because they had no other choice. That's why a price hike on something as basic as bread feels heavier than dollars and cents. It feels like losing the last fragile sense of security. So why are prices climbing as Dollar Tree squeezing the poor? The real answer lies in the supply chain. Since mid-2024, tariffs on wheat and food processing imports have been driving up flour costs nonstop. Fuel spikes made shipping more expensive. Labor shortages in logistics and rising packaging costs added another layer of pressure. Have you noticed bread going stale faster lately? Some shoppers even claim the quality has slipped. On one side, the price climbs. On the other, the value shrinks. So the question is, are we now paying more to get less? That feeling, paying extra for the same loaf that once cost just over $1, hits deeper than your wallet. It bruises your pride. It reminds you that even the simplest comforts, the things we thought were untouchable, are slipping out of reach. For generations, bread has been a symbol of fullness, of simple, warm family meals. But when even bread gets more expensive at Dollar Tree, the very place meant to hold the line on prices, what does that really mean? It means the people who once depended on Dollar Tree to survive the week now face hard choices. Buy less, settle for food with fewer nutrients, or skip meals altogether. You thought some things would never change. That Dollar Tree would always keep prices steady. That yesterday's $1.25 loaf would be the same today. But reality is proving otherwise. Nothing is immune to inflation, not even a loaf of bread. Have you felt lost staring at a new price tag with no explanation? Angry that the people with the least options are the ones paying the highest price, and yet there's no announcement, no warning, just a red sticker slapped on the shelf. Quiet, cold, like a sign that says, those days are over. Is bread really worth all this fuss? Yes, because bread is more than food. It's a test. If even bread can't hold its value, where does that leave everything else? Look back at your grocery bag lately. Does it feel lighter in your receipt? Does it feel longer? The issue isn't just about a loaf of bread. It's about where rising prices are dragging us. To a place where Dollar Tree is no longer $1. To a place where the dream of saving is no longer within reach. So how much are you willing to pay just to hold on to what once felt normal? And if even that slips away, what do we have left? Number 2. Fresh and frozen vegetables. Have you ever noticed that among the endless rows of cheap, salty, sugar-loaded foods at Dollar Tree, vegetables are one of the very few healthy options left? A bag of frozen green beans, a pouch of pre-cut carrots, or a little box of broccoli florets. They seem so ordinary, yet they carry a much bigger story. And unfortunately, that story is taking a very bad turn. Just this past July, a production report from the U.S. Department of Labor showed that vegetable prices jumped nearly 39%, and not over a year, but in a single month. That's not a normal market fluctuation. That's a warning sign of a price storm quietly brewing, starting with the items people least expect. At Dollar Tree, where frozen vegetables once sold for under $1.25, new price stickers are now popping up. Some bags have been bumped to $1.50. Others have stopped coming in altogether because they no longer fit the cheap price tier. And if you think vegetables aren't that expensive anyway, imagine being an elderly person living alone surviving on a fixed income of $900 a month, forced to choose between blood pressure medication and a plate of greens. Have you ever felt that sting? Knowing your body needs vegetables, your doctor insists you eat more, but the moment you walk into the store, even Dollar Tree, you hesitate before picking up a bag of beans. That's no longer a nutrition problem. That's the cruel tug of war between staying healthy and simply staying alive. Unlike dry goods, vegetables have a short shelf life. They depend on seasonal farming, on cold storage chains, on distribution workers, and on water supplies that are drying up across much of the West. When a single link in that chain gets squeezed, whether by tariffs, drought, or disaster, the price shoots up fast. Not because sellers want it that way, but because they have no choice. So let's ask the hard question: if frozen vegetables at Dollar Tree are no longer affordable, then where can the poor buy cheap, healthy produce? We keep hearing the slogan, "Eat clean, live healthy." But in today's economy, clean and healthy are starting to feel like privileges. And Dollar Tree, once a lifeline for families trying to stretch a budget while still eating well, is losing its ability to keep that promise. What do you feel when you see your usual bag of veggies suddenly marked higher frustration, anxiety, or maybe just that hollow sense of being quietly pushed out of access to even the most basic nutrition? For many, the fallback is instant noodles, overly salty canned goods, or ultra-processed snacks. They know it's not good, but when the wallet shrinks and the fridge grows bare of greens, every bit of health advice starts sounding like a luxury. Don't be surprised if you see more shoppers walking into Dollar Tree with their own tote bags. Not because they want to be eco-friendly, but because they already know they'll be leaving with less. Don't be surprised if the frozen aisle starts looking emptier. Not because vegetables lost their appeal, but because vegetables lost their affordability. And maybe what hurts most isn't even the price increase itself, it's the uncertainty of not knowing how many more hikes are coming. When something as simple and essential as vegetables starts slipping out of reach, what else can we still hold on to? Have you ever walked past the veggie shelf, glanced at it, and then turned away? If you have, you're not alone. And if it feels unfair, maybe it's time we speak up. Not just for a bag of vegetables, but for the right to live healthy even on a small budget. Number 3, canned protein. Have you ever stood frozen in front of a shelf at Dollar Tree, only to realize that the cans of tuna, chicken, or mixed meat you used to count on each week no longer fit your budget? You do not have to look far. The truth is stamped right on those new price tags. A can of protein that once sold for $1.25 is now $2, and in some places even $2.50. For many Americans living on pension, Social Security, or fixed incomes, this is not just a number change, it is a direct hit to a lifestyle built on affordable, shelf-stable food. Protein, especially from meat, is the backbone of a basic diet for seniors, patients, or people who work tough physical jobs. And yet this very food group is slipping out of reach for those who need it most. So what is happening behind every can is a stretched and fragile production chain. Canned chicken, mixed meat, or tuna are not always local products. The raw materials are often sourced from the Pacific or processed in factories across Latin America. In less than half a year, wave after wave of new tariffs have been slapped on these imports in the name of protecting domestic production. But the ones paying the price are not the corporations. It is the end consumers. And it is not only the meat being affected. Packaging, which makes up a big slice of the cost, is climbing too. Aluminum is the core material for cans. And with tariffs on Canadian aluminum now as high as 50%, the cost of packaging is dragging the whole sector down. A tuna can that used to cost just 3 to 4 cents to make now eats up 10 cents in packaging alone. Multiply that by millions of cans sold every month and the burden becomes massive. Stores like Dollar Tree have no choice but to rewrite their entire pricing system. But let's set production aside for a moment. Let's talk about how it feels. Do you feel cornered? That what used to be your last reliable option for a full meal with no stove, no cooking, just a quick pop of a lid has turned into something you have to second guess. That helplessness when you pull a few cans out of your basket, even though you know you need them. Not just to fill your stomach, but to keep your body from running low on protein, to keep your strength from fading day by day. And then you start doing things you once thought were only stories. Mixing beans into canned meat to stretch it. Splitting one can of tuna into 2 meals. Not because it is smart, because it is the only option left. This is not about the poor learning to pinch pennies harder. This is about a system breaking apart in the smallest, most telling places. When canned food created to give low-income families a lifeline turns into a luxury, it shows exactly who this society is leaving behind. Do you see it? This price spike is not the seller's fault. It comes from decisions made at the top, by people who never have to live on canned goods week after week. Yet the fallout lands on people like you. People who cannot raise their own livestock. People who cannot run a canning factory. So here's the question. If even a can of tuna is no longer a sure thing in your basket, then what is? And if this trend keeps going, will the next generation even know what cheap canned food was meant to be? Or will it just be a story from the past, back when living simply was not such an expensive dream? Number 4, pasta. If you had to pick one cheap filling and easy-to-make meal that almost every working-class family in America knows, what would it be? For a lot of people, the answer would come instantly: pasta. From spaghetti and macaroni to penne, it used to be the safe choice for quick meals that filled you up without draining your wallet. But maybe the phrase cheap meal doesn't really apply anymore. The price of dry pasta at Dollar Tree has been quietly creeping up. And the tricky part is that it doesn't happen in a loud, obvious way. No big price increase signs. No warnings from the brands. One day you just walk down the pasta aisle and notice the box of spaghetti you always bought looks smaller, or the tag shows $1.75 instead of $1.25, and no one explains why. Have you seen that yourself? What bothers shoppers the most isn't just the higher price. It's that slow, sneaky feeling of being cut back piece by piece in both quantity and quality without anyone asking your permission. The old 16 ounces package is now 12 ounces, sometimes even 10 ounces, yet the price is the same. And if the price does go up, it's just another quarter or 50 cents. That may sound minor, but when you add it up, it's anything but minor. Part of the problem comes from rising ingredient costs. Wheat, the base of all pasta, has been hit from both sides. Higher prices, driven by tariffs on imported grain and shrinking supply, as climate change disrupts harvests in states like Kansas and North Dakota. On top of that, production, shipping, and packaging costs are all climbing, forcing companies to raise prices just to stay afloat. But let's talk about what this means for people. For seniors or for families with a lot of kids, pasta used to be a lifesaver at the end of the month when the bank account was almost empty. One box of noodles, a little tomato sauce, and you could stretch it into 2 or 3 meals. Now, even that simple meal is slipping out of reach. Do you see what that means? When something as basic as pasta makes you stop and think twice before tossing it into your cart, what does that say about where we are? Are we being forced to get used to letting go of the most basic things? And if pasta, once one of the cheapest meals you could buy, isn't cheap anymore, then what's next? Number 5. Soda 1.25L. Have you ever thought there would come a day when even a 1.25L soda at Dollar Tree, once a symbol of cheap relief for working-class families, would start to feel like a luxury item in your cart? That day has already arrived. For years, the large soda bottle was one of the most reliable price holdouts at Dollar Tree. For just over $1, you could grab a cold cola for the whole family after dinner or keep a couple bottles handy for small gatherings. But starting this June, reports from shoppers show that soda prices at Dollar Tree have surged, with some stores listing them at $1.85, and the number is spreading fast. What stings the most is that, unlike essentials like meat or vegetables, soda was always seen as a little treat, a drink to lighten the load, to bring a small spark of joy into everyday life. And now, even that small comfort is slowly being taken away. Have you ever walked into the store just wanting a bottle of soda to cool off, only to freeze when you saw the price tag? Did you feel something break a little inside? Not because you couldn't afford it, but because even the simplest habits now carry a higher cost. This price hike isn't only about sugar or flavoring. It's being driven by 3 forces working together: higher plastic bottle costs linked to oil and plastic tariffs, soaring transportation expenses fueled by gas prices, and a less obvious factor: soda and sugar taxes quietly reinstated in many cities earlier this year. Put them all together, and the bottle that once cost less than $1.25 is now edging closer to $2. Sounds minor. Think about a working-class family of 4 who used to buy soda every week as a small highlight in their long days. If they're now forced to cut that out, what's left besides plain monotonous meals? The hard truth is, no one needs soda to survive. But many people survive the grind of life because of those small things. And when even those get taxed through higher prices, people begin to realize this isn't just about groceries. It's about feelings, about the quiet, right to a life that's at least a little enjoyable. And if even soda, once the cheap comfort symbol of low-income households, can't hold its price at Dollar Tree, then what does that say about the future for everyday consumers? Dollar Tree used to be the last safe haven for those trying to stay afloat in the storm of rising costs. But now even here, the promise of everything for $1 is gone. From bread, vegetables, and canned goods to even a simple bottle of soda, everything is creeping upward, leaving working-class shoppers cornered. If you've been feeling drained, frustrated, or simply confused about what's really happening, you're not alone. We are living through a slow but profound shift in how we eat, how we spend, and how much faith we can still place in the everyday things we once took for granted.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.